What if your peace didn't rise and fall with the headlines or your paycheck? What if the ground beneath you was steady no matter what the markets did? You weren't made to live small, scared, or stuck. You're here to live fully and flourish because your source is God, not the economy. The moment that truth lands, everything shifts. Your thinking about money, provision, success, and safety gets re-centered. Most people tie their well-being to a job title, an investment account, or global trends. But those are shifting sands. Economies expand and contract. Companies restructure. Markets swing. Even safe industries get disrupted. If your calm is chained to those systems, anxiety will run your life. When you grasp that God is your provider, you plug into a supply that doesn't crack, slow, or run out. The economy is a channel, not the source. Jobs, businesses, clients, and salaries are channels too helpful, but temporary. Channels can dry up or reroute. The source does not. When one path closes, God opens another. He isn't scrambling when conditions change. He doesn't need stocks to surge to bless you. His provision isn't governed by human systems. It flows from a higher realm that isn't shaken by our conditions. And when that sinks in, fear loosens its hold. Many look at circumstances and say, I can't make it. Things are slow. Inflation is high. Everything's worse. That mindset hands authority to an external system and turns it into an idol. No man-made structure gets to decide your future when you're aligned with God's promises. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Means your needs are met because of who you're connected to, not what the numbers say. Think about Israel in the wilderness. No banks, crops, or visible economy, yet manna showed up daily and water came from rock. They lacked nothing because the land wasn't their source. The Lord was. Trust brought supply in unlikely places. The same holds today. You don't need perfect market conditions to prosper. You need faith in the God who provides in every season. This isn't a call to sit still. It's a call to stop depending solely on your own hands and start trusting in God's favor. Act in faith, knowing your effort is blessed by an unseen hand that guides and multiplies. God often uses natural means to produce results that are anything but ordinary. He can make your resume rise to the top, bring clients to your door, and carry your name into rooms you haven't entered. It starts with believing He's the source behind it all. When you see Him as source, money anxiety starts to fade. Bills don't send you spiraling. Slow months don't own your mood. You go to the provider with confidence, expect with faith, and move boldly because your future isn't boxed in by human systems, it's anchored in divine supply. That awareness becomes your calm, your strength, your strategy. There's real danger in placing trust in economic structures. They're man-made, policy-driven, and constantly shifting. Tie your identity to them, and you'll be tossed by every headline. One downturn shakes your hope. You weren't designed to live that way. You were made to live by faith, not fear. By promises, not predictions. God's economy isn't reactive. It doesn't depend on GDP, inflation data, or currency moves. He fed thousands with a small lunch, brought water from dry ground, and used ravens to feed a prophet. Those aren't metaphors. They're proof that His provision isn't tied to our systems. If He did it then, He can do it now. Channels change, the source doesn't. Embrace that, and you'll stop forcing doors. You'll stop worrying about how, and start trusting the who. When your outlook moves from, I need the economy to get better, to I trust God to provide, you step into spiritual power. You're not numb to reality. You're rooted in a greater one. The peace that comes from knowing your source isn't fragile or needy. It doesn't wait for outside validation. It lives deep within and shows up as steady confidence, clear thinking, and quiet courage. This thinking isn't only spiritual, it's practical. It calms your decision-making, sharpens your eye for opportunity, and frees you to be generous when others hoard. That generosity opens new channels, because money no longer controls you. You steward it by faith. So don't let forecasts define you. Facts matter, but truth sits higher. The truth is, you're connected to an unlimited source. You aren't forgotten. You aren't stuck in a broken system. You're God's child, and your supply comes from heaven. That truth will steady and lift you, whatever swirls around you. Provision starts in the spirit, long before it shows up in your hands. Everything visible began as the unseen, a thought, an intention, a blueprint, a seed. Your opportunities and financial breakthroughs begin the same way, as spiritual realities. To see them, align with the unseen truth that God is your source and His supply has no ceiling. People often say, "I don't see a way," missing that the most powerful things aren't seen first. Faith is the substance of what's hoped for, the evidence of what isn't visible yet. You may not see the door, but it can already be opening. God works behind the scenes, arranging pieces and timing, making paths in wilderness places. The spiritual realm runs on different laws. In the natural, people lean on hustle, logic, and numbers. In the spirit, things move by belief, words, alignment, and obedience. The key to unlocking divine supply isn't straining harder, it's trusting deeper. Believe it's already provided, act like it's already moving toward you, and you draw it into view. You aren't begging creation to start, you're calling into sight what's already prepared. So, train your spiritual senses. Tune your heart more to faith than to fear, to promises more than predictions. The economy may forecast loss. God says He's your provider. Your role may look capped. God opens doors no one can shut. Blessings exist in the spirit with your name on them, but your consciousness must rise to receive them. You can't receive from the spirit while anchoring only in the material. When you pray from that place, your words carry weight. You're not pleading for scraps. You're accessing a treasury. You're not wishing, you're knowing, and knowing acts. God honors that. Provision often begins as an idea. He may not drop money from the sky, but He will drop strategies, insight, and timely nudges that lead to increase. It might look like clarity, courage, or a decision before it looks like cash. Act on what He plants, and the flow opens in the natural. Many miss provision by looking only for money while ignoring the idea, the prompt, or the step that requires faith. God works by seeds. Receive, nurture, and act on them. Then harvest comes as belief and action meet divine timing. Gratitude matters here. Thanking God in advance acknowledges the answer already exists. Gratitude tunes your heart to faith's frequency. It tells your spirit, it's done. Even when your eyes can't see it yet, live there and provision flows more freely. Timing is also spiritual. What you call late may be perfectly on time. Delay isn't denial. While you wait, more is being prepared than you imagined. God's timing is flawless. Sometimes, waiting protects, prepares, or positions you, but it never means you've been abandoned. When you live knowing provision begins in the spirit, your prayers, movement, and expectations change. You speak life over your finances. You stop rehearsing defeat. You stop lending your voice to lack. You declare truth. My needs are met. Provision is flowing. Opportunities are finding me now. Those aren't empty affirmations. They're spiritual activations. Words carry power, and faith-filled words unlock heaven's resources. Provision isn't about straining more, it's about believing more. You are a spiritual being with a divine inheritance. When you live from that, the world around you adjusts. Resources align, people appear, breakthroughs unfold. It starts within. Your inner life must align with abundance before the outer life reflects it. You don't receive what you merely want. You receive what you believe, expect, and align with. Keep your heart open. Stay expectant. Keep declaring. Keep sowing. Keep thanking God ahead of time. In the Spirit, your provision is already settled. It isn't if, it's when. When you grasp that it starts spiritually, you stop chasing money and start attracting it. You stop striving and start receiving. You stop fearing and start flowing. The supply exists, is already assigned, and faith is the bridge that carries it from unseen to seen. Rise in belief, walk in expectation, and know what's being prepared is on its way. Lack isn't just the absence of money. It's a mindset that warps how you see yourself, your world, and God's provision. It whispers, "There's never enough, you're not worthy, your needs will always outrun supply." It trains you to accept struggle as permanent, wealth as reserved for others, and life as a competition for crumbs. That spirit isn't from God. It feeds fear, and fear is the enemy of faith. To walk in divine abundance, confront and break that inner narrative. Lack starts in the mind. A person can have plenty and still be ruled by scarcity, always afraid it will vanish. That fear breeds hoarding, anxiety, and tight-fisted living. True abundance isn't measured by things, it's measured by freedom in your spirit and peace in your heart. When you believe God is your source and His supply is endless, fear's grip loosens. The world repeats scarcity lines. There's not enough. Times are tough. Money doesn't grow on trees, and those phrases plant limits. Over time, they shape choices. You pass on possibilities, hold back from giving, and settle because you doubt more is possible. But lack is not your portion. You bear the image of an abundant God who owns all resources and delights to bless His children. Start by locating where lack speaks in your life, your thoughts, your words, your habits. Every "I can't afford that" or "I'll never get ahead" tightens chains. Challenge that script. Replace "I can't" with "God can." Replace "there's not enough" with "there's always more in God." These aren't fluffy lines. They're course corrections that align your mind with truth. Lack often masquerades as humility. Many are taught that wanting more is greedy or that living with little is noble. But poverty driven by fear isn't holy. God didn't intend for His children to scrape by. He promised abundance for purpose, not vanity. Blessed people can bless people. Free from money fear, you can serve more, give more, and live more. Breaking lack isn't chasing wealth. It's shaking off chains to walk in God-ordained freedom. Giving is a powerful way to break scarcity. It's counterintuitive, but releasing what you have declares, "Money doesn't rule me," and invites God to multiply what you sow. It doesn't need to be large, just obedient. Money, time, encouragement, skill giving shifts your mindset from shortage to supply. Identity matters too. If you see yourself as always behind, you'll act to confirm it. See yourself as a beloved child of God, favored, supplied, aligned, and your choices rise. You stop settling. You expect good. Your posture moves from desperation to assurance, not arrogance, but trust in the provider. Fear of lack creates tension and rushed choices. Trust creates pause, prayer, and patience. Breaking lack is daily work. Renew your mind with truth. Speak life when lack shouts. Stand in faith when things look empty, and reject the world's scarcity story to live by divine provision. Every "there is more than enough" strikes at lack. Every time you give instead of grip, you disrupt fear. Every time you trust God over spreadsheets, you expand capacity to receive. This isn't just about outcomes. It's about knowing God as provider. When you know He meets needs, answers prayers, and multiplies resources, your heart settles. You move with peace, walk with purpose, give without fear, and receive without guilt. Abundance isn't for a special few, it's available to all who align by faith. Lack can't thrive where truth is spoken and hearts are surrendered to "God is more than enough." so choose daily to believe in His sufficiency. Use words that build faith, not feed fear. Give even when it stretches you. Think bigger, act boldly, expect favor. You are not your past, your paycheck, or your possessions. You are connected to an infinite source who cares for you and loves to exceed expectations. When lack breaks, you don't just gain money, you gain freedom, peace, and the capacity to live open-handed, fully trusting the one who never runs out. Giving isn't just a transaction, it's a spiritual law that activates multiplication. The world says hold tight, preserve, and measure generosity against your limits. In God's economy, giving is planting. What you release in faith returns multiplied, not always in the shape you imagined, but always in the way you need. Giving isn't only about money, it's a heart posture that trusts God to supply. Time, energy, encouragement, service, whatever you release in faith, He receives and multiplies. Giving confronts the fear of lack. When you give and it feels tight, you tell fear it's not in charge, and remind your circumstances they aren't your source. The gift matters, but the faith behind it matters more. In the Spirit, giving opens the gate to receiving, not to manipulate God, but to mirror His generous nature. God is a giver. When your hands are open, He can fill them. Clenched fists can't catch new blessings. Give, and it will be given to you. Pressed down, shaken together, running over, isn't a slogan. It's a chain reaction. Giving stirs the unseen, creates space, and signals to heaven that you're a conduit, not a container trustworthy to receive and release. Many wait to have enough before giving, but breakthrough often follows the seed. The widow who gave her last meal didn't give from surplus, she gave from trust, and provision followed. Giving also breaks the illusion of ownership. Everything, money, time, talents, belongs to God. We steward, we don't possess. Giving trains us to release control, let go of false security, and anchor in the one who provides seed and harvest. Generosity expands your capacity. It stretches faith, enlarges your heart, and lifts your eyes from me to we. You begin to see through God's eyes here, not just to survive, but to bless, serve, and participate in a divine flow. The spirit of giving matters. Not guilt, showmanship, or obligation, joy, love, and faith. God loves cheerful givers because cheerful hearts are aligned hearts. That kind of generosity shifts rooms, opens doors, and invites breakthroughs. Sometimes giving is financial. Other times it's encouragement at the breaking point, presence in someone's low moment, or grace when someone fails. Those seeds often yield deep returns, peace, restoration, healing. Giving also fights entitlement. It reminds you everything is a gift. Gratitude and generosity feed each other. Grateful hearts give freely. Giving hearts live gratefully. You're never truly empty. There's always something to offer. A kind word, a prayer, a moment. Heaven notices not just the gift, but the faith and love behind it. God responds from His generous nature, blessing and increasing those who trust Him. Giving is surrender and strength. It tells fear you're not a victim and declares your supply isn't capped by what you see. It links you to God's endless flow and aligns your heart with His generous, compassionate, and limitless. When you sow in faith, you're not losing, you're planting in a field that cannot fail to produce. The harvest will come often unexpectedly, but always on time. When a channel closes, it's not the end of your supply, it's a redirection. Channels change, the source remains. God isn't bound to one avenue: job, business, network, or deal. Those are vehicles, not the engine. See them as temporary and flexible, and you'll stop panicking when one dries up. Many confuse the two, treating employers, clients, or talent as provider. Then, when a job ends or the market turns, they unravel because their peace sat in a system. Provision was never meant to be tied to one stream. When you know God is source, you expect provision from any direction at any time. Scripture and history repeat this pattern. A brook dried up, then ravens brought food. Famine hit, then flour and oil multiplied. A crowd was hungry, then a small lunch fed thousands. God isn't limited by visible resources or linear logic. One channel ending doesn't mean supply has ended. It means it will arrive another way. This is where faith rises. Faith moves you forward when the familiar stops. Faith steadies you when the ground shifts and whispers, "Better is on the way." What looks like loss can be positioning for the next blessing. If you mourn a closed channel too long, you might miss the open door in front of you. Trusting the channel makes you rigid. You cling to what God may be moving you from. Trusting the source makes you flexible and open. Methods change. Outcomes don't provision. Growth and destiny remain safe in God's hands. This mindset frees you from the pressure to control every detail. When contracts fall through or sales dip, you don't freeze. You listen, look, and lean in. Where there is vision and faith, God makes a way. Sometimes shifts aren't about loss at all. They're about growth. Doors close to stretch you. A no can be protection, redirection, or promotion in disguise. Rely on one channel too long, and you limit what God can do. When it changes, you're invited into deeper dependence on the source. Your discernment sharpens, your sense of timing matures, and your faith strengthens. You stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and start asking, "What new door is God opening now?" That one question moves you from victim to expectant, and expectancy is where miracles grow. Often, a closed channel means you've outgrown it. Perhaps it served a season, and now you're being expanded. Or maybe it blocked a better path that aligns with your calling and future. Either way, remember, God isn't only the God of enough, He's the God of more than enough. When one flow stops, He's already preparing another. Gratitude matters in transition. Thanking God for a closed channel honors the season and readies your heart for the new. Gratitude keeps you trusting, guards you from bitterness, and reminds you every chapter, open or closed, fits a bigger story working for your good. Practically, stay ready for surprise. Be open to new ideas. Pivot when prompted. Don't box yourself into one way of receiving. If God provided before, He'll do it again, often through unexpected people and places. An old contact returns. A fresh idea rises. A random opportunity lands. Pay attention. What looks closed in the natural may already be replaced in the spirit. Spiritual provision requires alignment, trust, and a willingness to release the familiar, to embrace the miraculous. Walk by faith, not by sight, especially when the numbers don't add up. God isn't confused about your provision. He already has a way. Your role is to stay connected to the source. Live in expectancy. Move when He says move. Trust when you don't understand. And believe that every ending is the start of something greater. So when a channel closes, don't cling or despair. Stand in faith and remind yourself, the channel was never the source. If He did it before, He will do it again, maybe differently, through new people, or in ways you never imagined. The outcome is steady. Needs met, provision delivered, journey continued, because the source hasn't changed. Faith is the unseen force that bridges promise and manifestation. It's the key that unlocks God's abundance even when circumstances argue otherwise. Faith doesn't wait for evidence, it creates it. It doesn't seek the world's permission, it moves on God's assurance. To live by faith is to anchor your heart, thoughts, expectations
que
and
nos impide
actions
comprender
in the reality that God's supply
la
is present
complejidad de
and
los
more
seres
than enough
humanos
regardless of
cuando
your bank
vemos
app or breaking news.
a alguien
Live this
solo a
way,
través de una
and you're
etiqueta.
no longer
Dejamos de verlo
captive
como
to economic
realmente es.
cycles or human
Las acciones de
limits.
una persona
You
pueden ser
operate where
justas
provision is
o
steady
injustas
and miracles are
en
normal.
SAs
Anxiety
o
thrives when
egoístas.
focus sits on
Pero
what's missing.
reducir a alguien
People rehearse
a una sola
worst-case
categoría
scenarios
nos
and run
impide
numbers through fear.
entenderlo. Un
Faith
individuo que
shifts
hoy
focus
actúa
from
con
totals to
crueldad
the source.
puede ser el
It
mismo
says,
que mañana
God is
muestre
able. Even when
compasión.
bills
Un hombre que ha
stack up,
cometido errores
it
puede
says,
también hacer el
provision
bien.
is coming,
Marco
even
Aurelio
when
nos
doors
recordaba
look
que
shut.
debemos ver a los demás
That's
como
not
lo que
denial.
son seres
That's
humanos
higher truth.
fálebos,
Layoffs,
condicionados
debt, and
por
dry seasons are real. Faith says even in
su
famine
historia,
you'll be
sus
sustained.
miedos,
In
sus
drought rivers can
experiencias.
appear,
Nadie
and
es
after
una sola
loss
cosa.
God can restore.
Nadie está
Facts
completamente
may say you're
definido
stuck.
por
Faith says
sus
you're being
mejores
set up.
o peores
Real
momentos.
faith grows
Y
in
cuando
Anyone can
comprendemos
trust
esto,
when it's easy.
nos liberamos del
When the delay
juicio y
drags
de la
and the
carga
evidence says
emocional que
no,
viene
faith digs deeper, worships anyway,
con él.
gives
Cuando alguien
anyway,
nos trata mal,
expects
nuestro
anyway. Heaven
instinto
responds to
es
persistent faith not
etiquetarlo
because you earn
como una
favor,
mala persona.
but because faith
Pensamos que
tunes
es
you to God's
injusto,
flow.
que es cruel,
Faith
que
isn't
merece
passive.
castigo, pero
It
alguna
moves,
vez nos
obeys,
detenemos
applies,
a
sows,
preguntarnos qué lo
forgives,
llevó a actuar así,
releases,
no
and
para
speaks when
justificar su
shrinking.
comportamiento,
Back would be
sino para
easier.
entender que
If
nadie
you
nace
trust
siendo
provision is
malvado,
coming, you
que
prepare space
todos
for it.
somos el resultado de
also
nuestras
has a voice.
experiencias y de
Words
decisiones.
shape
Epicteto
worlds.
nos enseñaba
Doubt-laced speech
que no debemos
reinforces scarcity.
juzgar a las
Faith-filled
personas
speech shifts
solo por sus
atmospheres.
acciones, sino
Speak
entender
what you want
que
to
cada
see.
uno actúa según su
Resources
nivel
are
de
locating
conocimiento
me.
y comprensión.
Doors are opening on
Si alguien
time.
es
That's not
irrespetuoso,
pretending.
tal
That's
vez es porque
prophesying
nunca
a
ha
higher
conocido otra manera de
alignment that attracts
relacionarse.
clarity,
Si alguien
favor,
traiciona,
and
tal vez es
opportunity.
porque ha vivido
Fear
con
often
miedo toda
masquerades as
su vida. No
logic,
significa aceptar el
whispering,
daño, sino
"Be
comprender que no
realistic."
siempre es personal,
Faith isn't reckless.
que muchas veces
It's rooted in
los demás
revelation
actúan
and
desde
grounded
su
in
propia
promises.
confusión, no
Promises
desde
of peace,
un deseo
increase,
consciente
and overflow. Walking by faith rejects human
de
limits
hacer el mal
and steps
en
into
una
God's
sociedad.
limitless
Las personas
supply.
reaccionan
It
según su
also
entorno y
changes how
sus
you handle what you
circunstancias.
have.
Un
You
individuo
stop
puede ser
labeling your
amable con su
resources not
familia
enough and start calling them seed. You steward well, knowing how you handle little prepares you for more. Every dollar, gift, and chance has purpose. Every obedient step builds toward a breakthrough you might not see yet. Faith protects your peace. While others panic, you stay anchored not from naivety, but from trust in the one holding your future. Faith lets you rest during storms and move into tomorrow with courage. Temptations to shrink back will come. That's when you feed your faith, stay in the Word, surround yourself with truth, and make gratitude a habit. Thankfulness fuels faith. The more you thank God for what is, the more aware you are of His presence in the process, and the easier it becomes to trust His provision. Faith is a journey. It grows with use, deepens over time, and matures in trials. It isn't a feeling, it's a decision to believe God is good for you and faithful to provide beyond imagination. Choose faith consistently, and you'll start seeing it everywhere. The timely call, the unexpected opening, the
y
strength you didn't
despiadado
know you
en los
had.
negocios.
Those
Puede
aren't
ser
accidents.
generoso con sus
They're
amigos
fruit.
y frío con
Live by
desconocidos.
faith, and you're no
Pero
longer on
estas
edge.
contradicciones
You're rooted and ready.
no significan que
You
sea
walk
una mala
confident,
persona,
decide
sino
boldly,
que es
dream
humana.
bigger, give deeper,
Todos,
and love
en algún
wider
momento,
because your
hemos
life isn't
actuado de
capped by what
maneras
the world
que no
calls
nos
possible.
enorgullecen.
It's carried by
Todos
what God has promised.
hemos cometido
His
errores,
promises stand.
dicho
His
palabras
timing is
que
precise.
lastiman,
His
tomado
provision
decisiones
is unstoppable.
impulsivas.
So
Si
declare it
juzgamos
daily.
a los
I may
demás
not see it yet,
con
but
dureza,
it's coming.
deberíamos
I may not know how, but I trust who. I walk
aplicar
by
el mismo
faith,
criterio a
not by
nosotros
sight.
mismos.
That
Y
faith
si
won't
nosotros
just
queremos ser
impact your
comprendidos
finances, it will
por
reshape your
nuestros
life.
momentos de
Choose it
debilidad,
today.
¿por qué no hacer
Let it lift your words, guide
lo
your
mismo con los
actions,
demás
and anchor your heart. You're
cuando
not at the
dejamos de
mercy of
etiquetar
markets,
a las personas
bound by
como
yesterday,
buenas
or
o
disqualified
malas?
by today's
Mejor
problems?
nuestras relaciones.
You're connected
Ya
to
no
an
reaccionamos con
unlimited,
tanta
faithful
frustración ante
source.
las fallas
Provision
ajenas
isn't luck.
porque entendemos que
It's
todos
trust.
están en
Place
su
your full
propio
trust in
proceso de
God and watch
aprendizaje.
the
Nos volvemos
impossible
más
bend.
pacientes,
Closed doors
más
open.
ecuánimes.
Distant
No
answers
significa
draw
tolerar
near.
abusos
Stand
o
bold.
aceptar
Speak
injusticias,
sure. Move
sino
expectant.
aprender a
The
responder con
moment you choose
sabiduría
to live by faith,
en lugar de
heaven
reaccionar
moves on
con
your
ira.
behalf.
Marco
You're not
Aurelio
waiting on
decía
God, He's
que
waiting on
cuando
your
alguien
faith.
actúa mal debemos
So go
preguntarnos si
forward,
realmente esperaba que
believing,
fuera de otra
expecting,
manera. La gente actúa
overflowing.
como puede según
Your
lo que ha
supply is
aprendido,
already in
según lo que
motion.
su mente le
Believe it,
permite ver.
speak it, Walk
Si
in it
esperamos
and watch what God does.
perfección de los
When you
demás,
live this way,
nos
faith stops being a
decepcionaremos
concept and starts
constantemente.
becoming your daily
Liberarnos de esta
currency.
mentalidad nos
It's what you
ayuda a
spend when
encontrar
challenges
paz
rise,
interior.
what you lean on
No
when
sentimos la
clarity is dim,
necesidad
and what
de
sustains you
castigar, de
when logic
reaccionar
says
con
it's over.
resentimiento, de dividir el
Faith
mundo en
keeps you
aliados y
grounded in the
enemigos.
truth
Nos volvemos
that your
más
source
objetivos,
has no
más
limits.
serenos, más
And because of
capaces de
that,
manejar los
you live
conflictos
lighter.
con claridad.
You make
La verdadera
choices without
fortaleza
panic.
no está
You
en
give
juzgar a
without
los
fear.
demás.
You dream without apology. You carry yourself with a steady confidence that isn't tied to numbers, headlines, or anyone else's opinion. This is what realignment with divine supply looks like. It's not about escaping reality, but about anchoring yourself in a greater reality that doesn't crumble. The economy may swing, but your provision remains steady. Jobs may change, but your calling doesn't lose its power. People may come and go, but your source is constant. God is not pacing heaven wondering how to take care of you. He already has ways prepared, some visible, some still hidden, that will unfold right on time. Every time you choose faith over fear, you step further into that flow. Every time you declare truth instead of rehearsing lack, you pull the unseen closer to the seen. Every act of generosity, every prayer of gratitude, every decision to trust instead of panic becomes a seed in the ground of your future. And those seeds never stay buried. They grow into opportunities, open doors, restored peace, and unexpected breakthroughs. So walk tall in this truth. You are not at the mercy of unstable systems. You are connected to an unshakable source. Let your words align with that reality. Let your actions reflect it. Let your expectations rise to meet it. And as you do, you'll begin to see the evidence everywhere. Your supply is not coming someday, it's already moving toward you. Stand in that assurance. Speak it out. And when you do, you'll discover that divine abundance isn't just an idea, it's the life you were created to walk in.